welcome to Friday Nights with Emma. Change of venue. So you are in my super secret sewing room. I'm doing that tonight. So welcome. Come on in. I'll show you around. So it's not completely tidied up yet. I've still got some bits that I need to sort out, but my bookcase is one of them. Which I'm quite excited because I was worried I'd lost one of my books. But I managed to find it. My favourite book that I have. So I'm quite excited about finding this one because if you remember, oh yeah, way back when, New York Beauty, those are the colour inspirations. So I'm still planning on doing that quilt at one point, but that green and purple, yeah. So I'm quite chuffed that I found that.
Terry is watching.
Oh, hi Terry.
Diamond.
Hi Diamond. Hi Shirley.
You're Sarah.
Hello Sarah.
Cheryl.
Hi Cheryl.
Margaret.
Hi Margaret. Welcome.
Christine from
Hi,
Glasgow.
So, continuing around. This is my quilt, my summer quilt that I did. You saw the half square triangles, the charm pack quilt.
Kathleen and Leslie and Dawn.
Hi Kathleen.
Judy.
Hi Leslie. Hi Dawn.
Joan.
Thank you so much. I'll show you Dawn's handiwork when we get all the way around to underneath. My gosh,
Susan,
such an amazing job.
Sandy,
Hi,
Barbara,
Sandy. Hi Susan.
Ross.
Hi Barbara. Hi Ross.
Your mom.
Hello Mum.
Carol.
Hi Carol.
Jackie.
Hi Jackie.
She asked, did we enjoy the snow? That's a negatory.
No. I'm glad it's gone. Sorry, yeah. Snow is not my bag.
Coming back tomorrow, apparently.
Yeah, not a big fan of snow.
Diana.
Hi Diana. Yeah, not a big fan of snow since we lived in Michigan. Before Michigan, it was magical and beautiful and snow was lovely. And then you have it every day for 3 months and it loses its magic. And it doesn't come back. Even Kaylee says she doesn't like snow. So, yeah, it ruined it for us, I'm afraid. Oh, this is my big machine. This is when I say my big machine upstairs. This is the one I'm talking about. You'll see the big machine in a minute, but this is my nice little, well, it's an older one. So it's an Elna 660. So it's with the older style. But I like her.
Our Natalie.
Oh, hi Natalie.
Denise.
Oh, Natalie. You'll get to see this in person next week. But yeah.
Murray.
Hi.
Denise. Denise.
Oh, hi Denise. Right, it's in my cabinet.
Caroline.
Oh, hi Caroline. This pulls out. I love this bit. I was lucky enough to get this second hand, so I got a good deal on this cabinet. I love it. If you can ever afford or find on eBay, which is where this came from, a horn cabinet, it is so worth it. So I obviously it's in my sewing room, so I leave it up, but you can hide it all up. Got all these drawers, all my bits, all my tools, patterns. I don't know what's in the bottom there. Oh yeah, threads and sewing machine parts. So that, and that pulls out all the way, so I've got a whole long table there if I want it. That doesn't happen very often. Going around. Oh, my new things. This is just little cheapo, well, they're about 30 quid I think. Tool storage things. So I put that up last week. All my threads. I've got a few more bins that I can put some bits in.
Kathleen loves the cabinet.
Oh yeah, I definitely recommend it. I got one for Mum. Me and Simon got one for Mum. I used one as well. You can find them on eBay occasionally. So yeah. What's next? Oh, let me show you this.
Kate Riding's granddaughter says thank you for her quilt.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's beautiful. It was beautiful. Oh yes, I'm so glad you like it. I'm so glad you like the quilting. Oh, I just finished it, but the talent is in the top, definitely. I'll just show you this one quickly.
Karen is watching and Sally is watching. Ooh. What happened?
I think my ruler fell down. I need to find a safe spot for that. This is a quilt I did this week. Well, this is the quilting. I didn't do the top. This is not my handiwork. This is a customer quilt. Katie did this one. It's for a baby quilt, special baby quilt. I always like her quilts because she sends me interesting pattern combinations. So this is all exactly as she wanted it. So she told me the patterns to do where, and then I just execute it. The design and the ideas are all hers. So I just have to tie in and sew in on my threads, but that was the job for this week.
Lynn says that's a brilliant cabinet. Has it got a special name?
It doesn't. It doesn't. I didn't name the cabinet, I have to admit.
It's called cabinet.
It's called cabinet. I do remember the day we went and picked it up.
As do I. Your brother is watching.
Hello, Simon.
That is a day I'll never forget.
We went to a castle. It wasn't as bad as the day we went and picked up the bird table.
Another day etched in my memory.
This is my wardrobe of fabric, which I will leave closed.
Your brother asks, where are you?
Oh, I'm in my sewing room. You didn't get to see this, but you can see it now.
And Karen says it's nice to have a good nose around somebody else's sewing room.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie says, do you want that cot side I'd offered you before?
Oh. Let me have a think, Jackie, and get back to you, because I might have a space. So Jackie, yeah, she has a side. She recommended.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, no, she recommended a side of a cot put on its side to use as a quilt rack, which was a great idea, which I need, because you can see I've just got them folded up there and all the rest are in the airing cupboard.
Claudia is watching.
Hi, Claudia.
Lynn meant, does the cabinet have a technical name if you're searching for something on eBay?
Oh, sorry. Let me see. Oh, I do. Let me see. I have the original. It's an older one, but this is exactly the same style as I got from Mum. I don't know if they're doing exactly the same. This one, a picture at the bottom. This one is from the 80s. So the lady that I got this from, her daughter used to do ice skating competitions, and she had a machine. It was an Eleanor as well, and the cabinet. She bought it all together to make her costumes.
No, the question is.
Yes, I know. I'm finding it.
Okay.
I've got the original. See, I've got the original leaflet that came with it.
And what's it called? It should be on the front.
It looks like it's this one. It looks like it's that one. So Sewing Centre, the number is 10621065. That might be the colour.
And what's the name of the company?
It's Horn.
So there you go.
Yeah. So mine's a green. See, very 80s. Yeah, mine's the green one. I don't know if they make exactly the same one, but any of the Horn cabinets and the machine, I'll show you. You don't have to have it out. I did have I had this in the spare room for a little while before I made this into my sewing room. I'll show you. Right here. Lose my light. You can so it goes in a couple of spots. So you can have it flat. And there's a company that you can tell them what sort of machine you've got. They will make you an acrylic template that sits. You have to take the this bit off, but it sits there, and you've got a nice flat sewing bed. Oh, somebody at the door. There's somebody at the door. It's probably a delivery of some sort. Let me just turn you around. Let me see. Oh, I can see your comment. Oh, hi, Kathleen. Okay, I might give you a peek in the cupboard. Just a quick one then. But don't judge me. Because I haven't, you can see it's a bit spring-loaded. Just a quick peek. You ready? You ready? Oh, and then something fell out. This is all my jersey fabric. That's some wadding, fire retardant wadding. Yeah, so we'll ignore that for now. There we go. That didn't happen. yeah, so you can have it flat like that, or if you go to the next one, there's a little lever down here. Oh, sorry. There we go. You can push it all the way down. If I move my thing out of the way. And it hides. And then you can flip this over and it just folds all in and gets completely hidden. It's all hydraulic. There we go. Come on, lift up. One more. There we go. Oh, I can see you. Hi, Christy. You wish I was this has only been like this week, if I'm honest. And Dawn did a lot to help me organise it. Let's see, Andrea. I need to get some more. Yes, I do need to get some more sockets. But I don't know, this is a very 70s house. It's as old as me. And I have one socket there, one socket on that wall, and that's it. Oh, Mikey's back. There, back. We had a peek in the cupboard.
Oh, be brave.
I know. So everybody knows what my secrets
It was a
now.
delivery.
Yeah. What was it?
It's for me.
Okay.
I thought maybe the neighbors saw the light and they called the police. We might have been having a COVID raid.
Yeah, so next bit, fabric projects. These are UFOs. Fabric.
What are
sorted by
UFOs?
colour. Unfinished object. Also known as a whip, which is a work in progress. Fabric. This is all my fabric from my hexies. This is all my Civil War fabric. That's what I'm doing my coat hexies with. Whips.
Marie says after seeing that cupboard, I feel better about hers.
Good. See, that's the next step, is to get all that organised. But not right now. You'll see underneath.
Let's just call this a victory.
Yes, definitely. All my dress patterns. Let's see.
Your contraband dress patterns.
Yeah. These are things that still need to be sorted. Wadding.
Jeanette says I'll sort it out. Not likely. I'm usually not allowed in this room.
No. So let me move this on. What I thought I'd do after we do the tour of the room is I'll show you how I load my machine. So this is the beast. Have a quick look underneath. That's all Dawn's effort of sorting out all of my quilting fabric, which is now organised by colour into each bin. So that's very exciting. Wadding in the corner. My Animal Crossing quilt. This is my machine. So it's the frame, the table, which is 10 foot long, and then this is Athena. This is the sewing machine, and you can see if you go around there. So if you imagine your sewing machine, but instead of sitting on its side, it is tilted back, so the throat is that way. And then it moves around like this.
Sandy said she was hoping it would be worse than hers. And Jeanette says hers is worse than that.
It was. Trust me. This time last week, I could somewhat see the floor. But yeah.
Diamond says her house is a 30s house. Apart from the kitchen and sitting room, they have one original socket per room.
Yeah, that's going to be one of our to-dos eventually.
To be fair, when they were built, there wasn't that much electronic devices, was there?
You'd need, what, maybe a hairdryer and a lamp. So, right, so.
Your Sarah says, looks like filming equipment. Laugh out loud.
So, this is the backing. So my backing, the quilts always go on in 3 pieces. This is my colours. There we go. Backing goes on first. So whenever I load it, it's better. You don't have to, but it is better to load it so the backing selvage is top and bottom. Sometimes, because the way you want to put the pattern on or the way the quilt is, you can't always do that. But the reason for that is because there's a little bit more stretch in the fabric this way than there is that way, and that helps with the quilting if you have the stretch going with, well, in between, stretch in between the rollers. So I'm just going to find the middle, and it's not pressed because it's, I'll show you the quilt, it's one of my quilts. This is not a customer quilt, but the creases do come out.
Jeanette says her house was built in 1909.
Oh wow.
And Cindy says, I have a wire problem too. Ours is a 70 house as well.
Yeah. And the lights, that's one of our biggest pet peeves, is the lights are not centered in the middle of the room. They're always in front of the windows, which Michael somebody has a theory for that, but I do find that annoying. Now, our last house was built in, was it 1858?
Yes, it was a Victorian home.
Yeah, and after that we vowed no more old houses. It was just cold and damp all the time. It has its quirks, but I do like our house. Oh, you might want to come see what I'm doing instead of sitting there picking your feet. So I'm attaching the quilt onto the leader, just pinning it.
It's warm in here.
It is, yeah. I
wonder if it's that light. That light.
No. Even when I'm in here quilting, I very often find it's warm. My love, foot. Thank you.
Christina says lights are put near the windows as they don't create shadows.
Yes.
I prefer them in the middle of the room. Yes, that's a silhouette, so you don't. And your Sarah also says light is near windows, so people can't see your shadows in the bedroom, sort of thing, from outside.
Yeah.
And Christine says light at window so as not to cast shadows on blinds. Lynn says we haven't got a central light in our lounge, only wall lights. Drives me loopy. Another 70s house. And Kathleen says my house is late 70s. Yes, the light is about 12 inches from the window, apparently to reduce shadows, people seeing through the thin curtains. No idea if it works, just very dark in the rest of the room.
Yes! And then there's no sockets to actually put very many lights, so. Ow, 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 ow. Almost. Get in there. There we go. So that's the top done.
Lori says good evening.
Oh, hi Laurie.
Lori's Cubs just got a good player.
Oh. You guys will talk baseball. Well, this backing is longer than I actually need. Its the width is alright, but the length is a little bit. So now I just have to do the same thing to the other leader.
Jock Peterson. That's who the Cubs got. He had a bad year last year, but so did a lot of people. Lynn says she finally found the hedgehog panel yesterday. It had got buried with the other fabric.
Oh, good, 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 good.
And now what are you doing?
Now I am pinning the other end of the backing to the other leader.
Barbara says, love your sewing room. We could have a wonderful play day.
Yes, definitely.
I didn't think fun was allowed anymore. Come on, Link.
Come on. Yeah, I know you're not usually allowed. I'm going to clear your space. But he was in here the other day with me, and he was very good. He just sat on his chair. Didn't you? Yes, you were actually a good kitty. If you're a good kitty, you can come in.
Yeah, come
Another
on.
reason Smokey to spin in his grave.
Yeah, I know.
So Smokey was my old cat, my previous cat, and he was definitely never allowed in here, even though he wanted to. And Link gets to do a lot of the things now that he never was able to do. So I imagine he's not very happy with me.
Carol says her house was built in 1901. Just after we moved in the 80s, husband was in the loft and suddenly shouted, "Don't touch any electrics and go to your mom with the baby now." He found barrel live wires just twisted together. One rewire later, we had plenty of sockets.
Oh, wow.
And Carol says, "Can highly recommend you. A fabulous job done on my rainbow hearts quilt. So grateful."
Thank you, thank you. There we go. That's one. There we go. Okay, that's my wadding and my top.
You're all right, Link. You're all right, scaredy cat.
Now I just have to, ow, stabby.
You all right?
Yeah, it's not bad. So the pattern I'm going to do tonight, I've never done it before actually, so this will be a first for me.
Christine says, "Is Emma pinning?" No, she's not a pinner. She keeps saying every week. However, evidence, my lord, to the contrary.
Well, you kind of have to. You can't get around it.
I think you are a pinner.
Aw, he was your papa, Link. Ow.
Christina said the swifts on her gnome quilt are fabulous. Gave it to my mum for Christmas. She was thrilled to bits. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad. That was the gnome quilt was very cute. You'll have to post some pictures. It was very nice. I'm so glad your mum liked it.
Link, this is kind of hard with you. Sitting on.
There we go. Right, so there's that.
There you go, Link.
The
Yes.
wadding goes on.
And how does it go on?
Do you remember?
Yes, I do. Dimples up.
Pimples.
No, pimples up. Dimple. No.
The other way.
Dimples up.
Pimples down.
Pimples down.
And even though I'm using polyester, it does still have pimples and dimples.
Well, of course. I think everyone knows that.
Now, first go, I'm just going to do a line of stitching so I can line up.
Hang on, like, oh, I'm gonna get. I'm gonna show this part on the camera.
Can't see it too well because it is pale thread, but I'm just stitching a line, or straight line, all the way across, so that will sew my wadding to my backing, plus it will give me a straight line to line up my quilt top on. Just going to reach behind to get my tool. Wrong one. There we go. Right, now my top is ready to go on. Now it depends on how the pattern goes. Sometimes if the pattern is non-directional, I will load them up so that they go this way, lengthways rather than narrow ways down. So that means that there's less passes that has to be made because it will go long ways.
Diane says I have no chair now.
No, he's got it. That's his spot now. But because the pattern I'm going to use on this is directional, I'm going to load it this way.
And Karen says Link looks comfy.
Oh, yeah.
As Lori says also. He won't be as soon as the machine starts up.
No, he was fine. He was here the other night when I was quilting. Yeah, he didn't mind. He didn't mind.
That's unusual.
I know.
Usually a rustling bag scares him.
I know. Right. So I'm going to start in the middle and go each way.
Jackie says she has sewing room envy.
Aww. Well, we both decided that our sleeping room is the smallest, isn't even as big as this, the one that we sleep in, and it has a king size, sort of king size bed in it. And we're happy with that because it gives us more room to do this.
Plus, it's the coolest room in the house.
Yeah, it is.
Lorraine says she's never seen this done before. Interesting.
Now, I'm going to baste right along the edge of the top. So I always start off with, just like if I'm free motion quilting, I bring my bobbin thread up to the top so it stays out of the way. This is where you have to be careful not to sew through your fingers or your thumb. Sew yourself to the quilt.
Let's not do that live.
I'm just using big basting stitches just to tack it down so it stays where it needs to.
Lori says sewing room and quilting envy here. Try to get a close up of the.
My trick. Now we'll do it the other way.
Lynn says this is fascinating. Thanks for showing us the process involved.
Welcome. I won't get to see all of it because I've already programmed the pattern. That's the part that takes quite some time, but I've already done that, so we'll be able to skip straight to the lining up and the quilting.
Anne asks, what are you doing tonight? Tonight is basically a sewing room show.
Yeah, sure.
And long arm quilting. I mean, what it is, I guess.
Yeah, just how I load it up, how it works, just so you can see.
This is more a show and tell.
Yeah, little glimpse into my world.
Judith asks, where did you learn this, or were you self-taught? Self-taught, really?
A bit of both, actually. So when I bought the machine, it coincided with my last trip to go see Travis, and then I booked a day class just to learn to load it and how to work it all with a lady in Oregon. She's actually based in Washington, but she does classes in Oregon as well. And yeah, so I did it that way, and she is the nicest person you could ever imagine to meet. Literally, if I have any questions anytime, I just message her on Facebook, and yeah, she'll get back to me almost immediately. If not, even though she's 8 hours behind us, yeah, she's really, really nice. And she tells me, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? I'm like, oh, and she always helps me fix it, although I haven't had to do it too much. But there are some tricks you have to know about using the machines, and when things go wrong, troubleshooting, knowing what it is that you have to do to fix it.
There is a learning curve.
Yes, definitely. You can't just go on and start it. But I built, other than the muscle, because Michael gave me the muscle when I needed it, but I built the frame and set everything up myself over a Christmas a few years, well, we've been 4 years ago now, I think.
Karen says she's trying to work out if she has room for a long arm quilter. Would love to have one.
Yeah. Thanks.
Anne says, oh, wow, I'm a clever you. Kath says she has never seen this before. Thank you. Susan says, really great to see.
Oh, good.
Joan says, fascinating. And Caroline says, is that pen dangling down, and what is that a pen dangling down, and what is it for, please?
Okay. So I'll show you that in just a sec. That is the computer that comes with this one.
Diamond asks, once you get this all set up, are you able to walk away, or do you have to babysit it? Looks scary.
Yeah,
I know you did my bird pond, and it was fabulous. Wow,
yeah.
This is awesome.
Yep. No, you definitely have to babysit. There are some quilts, it depends on the pattern, and it depends on the quilt. I usually only do it, well, I will only do it with my quilts. If I know that there's nothing that's going to trip up, and I know the patterns, sometimes the patterns, different ones have different hiccups, and you have to watch them. But there are some that I know I don't have to worry too much about it, and I can go, at least go to the loo or maybe go make a cup of tea, but I'm not going to nip down and make sure Mum's alright down the road and leave it running, because that's when disaster happens. Right, so that bit's done. Now, I have to attach the bottom part of the quilt top. So the wadding just hangs loose, but then the quilt top needs to be pinned up, just like the backing did. this gets rolled up exactly the same way.
Kathleen says, strange the wadding just hangs there. Fascinating to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually there are some who actually will leave the quilt top, will just baste everything down and then leave the quilt top hanging loose as well. I like to pin it up. They call, when you leave the top hanging, they call that free floating the top. Long thread, it doesn't need to be there. And then this is the edge. Ooh, I didn't hold it. I should have held it. Even with this machine, you've got to hold the threads. Oh, come on. Go on.
Diane asks, is Kaylee and Alice okay? Always think of Alice when I see or use pins.
Yeah, they're good. Haven't seen them for a while. Did FaceTime last week. A few times, I think. Especially with the snow, I think they are getting fed up of the lockdown.
Well, 2025 is just right around the corner. Judith says, I'm amazed how loose it looks. Thought it would be much more taut.
Yeah, I don't want to tighten it too much. I mean, there is, you know, it's got a bit of bounce in it. Just baste the edges to keep everything together, because when it quilts, it eats up the fabric a little bit. So if you don't baste it down, it could shift. You just want to keep it all nice and together. There's a clip here to keep that there.
Diane says her long arm quilting consists of two lengths of 2x2 wood, 2-inch by 2-inch wood covered in curtain interlining for padding, 2 A-frame table stands from IKEA, and hand quilting. No machine, unfortunately.
That sounds like a pretty good setup, actually. Hand quilting. So, that's the only thing about using a fixed stand that I never tried with hand quilting is, are you able to sew backwards and down? Because I usually just turn the hoop, so I can just keep going from right to left. That's the trick with the fixed stands.
Lori asks if you're getting on well with the hippie coat.
Yes, I did. I almost got the opposite side of one of the front panels, so the hexie is completely done, so I might be able to do that. I think I'll wait until I've got the 2 front panels that I can layer up and quilt all together. But I might not. I might be able to quilt one. Might do that next week. We'll see.
Lynn says she's seen quilts sandwiched online using swimming noodles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially if you're going to do it on your domestic machine. I think those are good. They're also good. It's good to store them that way as well. Rolled up around a swimming noodle. It prevents them from getting too creased. Right, now I'm going to increase my number of stitches per inch to 10. I'm going to turn my computer on.
Diamond asks, what is the difference between a computer operated machine and the ones that have the stencils at the back? Apart from the price, obviously. I don't have the space for either, but worry that if I did, the stencil one would be wasting money.
Yeah, so if you have a look, because mine is, I'm not proud, mine is computer guided. If you look on the table, you'll see these belts. So it has a motor and belts which hooks up. If I show you underneath, well, that's warming up. So the machine itself sits on this carriage. If you come look at this side, you can see. So normally, without the computer aided belts, you wouldn't have these belts. You wouldn't have this fitting onto this carriage. The carriage is the same, but you wouldn't have motors to move it. There's also a motor in here which moves it. There's a little belt inside which moves it backwards and forwards. So it has an x-axis and a y-axis going along that way with the belts. If you didn't have that, then you would work from the opposite side. So if you have it, I'll be Captain Kirk for a minute. So you've got handles at the back of the machine. If you use a pantograph, you stand at the back of the machine and there's a laser pointer, which is on this side, I think, which I haven't actually used. Somewhere. Oh yeah, see that little curly? This is a laser pointer, and you put that, you'll have a table along the back of your machine. You just place the long piece of paper with your pattern on the back, and you use a laser pointer as your guide so that you basically stitch from the back. I went belts and machine, which is more expensive. Literally, it was like the cost of a luxury family car. But I figured if I wait till I win the lottery to buy it, then it's never going to happen. So why not spend the money on this instead of a brand new car? And in a year, actually less than a year, in a few months it'll be paid off. I don't have to worry about it. So it was the same with having a car payment. And yeah, so I'll always be able to use it. So for me, it made sense to get what I wanted. Well, because I use it more than I would anything else. So that's me. That was my philosophy. Not perfect for everybody. Not everybody has the same philosophy, but it worked for me.
Angela says, this is fascinating. The first time I've ever seen a long arm quilter in action. Anne says, this is so brilliant to see. Awaiting a beautiful Jack from Claire. Many thanks for the details.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
And yours, Sarah, says, no sob then. Laugh out loud.
No, the sob is still on the cards. That's still going to happen. I just know that, you know, that's...
Let's get back to the show.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get my sob eventually. So everything that I do to work everything with the computer, well, with the robots rather, is through my pad. So this is the program. It's been updated. It's a little bit older, so it's been updated a few times, so it can be a little bit janky. You just have to be patient with it. You definitely have to be patient with it. You have to be kind of computer savvy. So
Karen says, I have a big birthday next year. I feel a purchase coming on.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, this is an Innova.
From Texas.
Yes. And there is a new Innova dealer.
Sorry.
What?
Judith says, I'm full of admiration for you, Emma. I've spent 2 days trying to get my computer printer to work. This would be the death of me.
So what I'm doing now, this is what Capri taught me when I went to my day class. I'm telling the computer, this is the area that I want you to work in. That's what you have to do first.
So you're setting the print area.
Yeah, basically. And now,
And it's all Windows-based software program.
for kind of. It's its own program, so you have to learn it. And I did this earlier.
And here's one I prepared earlier.
Yeah, so this is my pattern that I prepared earlier.
Don't know if it comes out on the phone. A little bit, I guess, but...
Yeah, that's my pattern is chicken wire. If I touch on it, you'll be able to see it come out black.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I ungroup that. There we go. So I've already set up the size of my quilt and all of my pattern. I did that earlier. Just gonna make sure I ungroup it all. And it will sew in swaths basically. So I've got so each of these pink arrows is a row. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows to do. All told.
Yeah, they can't see that on camera, but it's 6.
Okay.
You if you see in the screen, you'll see it.
So now I have to tell it where the corner of my quilt is, so it knows where to start.
The datum. Diana says she struggles with her daughter's phone. No chance with anything like this.
Actually, I'm going to cheat a little bit, bring it up a little bit. Come on. There we go. Alright then, so I've already got the thread loaded up that I want in the top and in my bobbin. That's all done. So now, bring that back a little bit. I just have to go to my start position, make sure my stitches per inch is what I want it to be, which is 10. So we'll see. This is going to be a first for me. I haven't stitched this pattern out before, but it's one I thought would work well with the bees. It's chicken wire, but it looks a little bit like hexagons. So here we go. Now I have to think.
Oh.
There it goes. Okay. And it'll continue doing this pattern all the way across, and then when it's done, finished this whole row, then I have to stop it, manually move the quilt sandwich up on the rollers, and then realign it so that my pattern is totally aligned. That's the tricky part as well, especially with it's going to be with this one, because if it's slightly off, it's going to look funny because it's so, what do I want to say, symmetrical. Some of the patterns which are a bit more swirly and you can't really see if they're maybe a couple of millimeters off, it doesn't matter so much, but for something like this it's precise. Or the diagonal lines that I did on the other quilt, you have to make sure it really matches up, otherwise you can tell that there's a join there.
Diamond says this is a thing of beauty.
Oh, thank you.
And Judith asks, does the machine give you an idea of the time it will take?
No, it doesn't. So I have to sort of gauge it, but it can take, especially on a big quilt, so I can accommodate a quilt up to 95 inches in one direction. It could be longer the other way, but I can only go up to 95 inches along here. And depending on the density of the pattern, it can take an hour or more to do one row.
One row.
Yeah. Sometimes it's about half an hour to 45 minutes. It depends on the size of the quilt, the density of the pattern. Yeah. That's why I like to have them lengthways when I can, because it just means that there's less time that I have to join it, basically, advance it and join it. But yeah, I'm quite chuffed with that. You can see, I think that's working out pretty good. I was a bit worried about the chicken wire, but I think it's going to look good with the beads, like hexagons. Like, so yeah. Oh, and then also you have to be careful that you don't run out of bobbin thread. So that's the other reason that you have to watch it. Because if you run out of bobbin thread, it will just keep on sewing, although it doesn't do anything without any bobbin thread, so it won't actually do anything.
Judith says that's really pretty.
Thank you.
And Dawn says looks fab.
Thank you. I'm quite chuffed with that.
And Sarah says that's brilliant. And then looks good. Can you stop it?
Oh, yeah.
Say if you had to go out
Yeah.
and just stop it, and then...
Yeah. So you can come have a look. So I've just stopped it. And this is what I'll do. So if, for instance, it ran out of bobbin and I have to go back, there's a couple of options. So if I start it again, it will ask, do I want to resume it? I'm like, yes, I want to resume the same pattern. And it will ask, do you want to just continue? So if it does that, like, it will just continue from where it is. If I want to move it, which is what I often do if I have to replace the bobbin, because I'll go back on the pattern a little bit so that it overlaps a little bit, is I'll move it back, and then if I move it, if I say I want to move, then it'll just start stitching from the closest point on the pattern where it is, so it will overlap a little bit.
So just hit continue.
Yeah, so I just want to continue.
And it'll start thinking.
Yeah.
And there she goes.
Yeah. So yeah. So
Christina says this is a fantastic machine. Karen says, looks amazing. Do you need to be very tech savvy to cope with one of these? I don't think it's tech savvy. I think it's just practice, and
I think you have to be tech savvy insofar as you have to realise how the limitations of the software and the hardware, which is the robot. It won't do miracles for you, so you have to know what its limitations are. But if you can, I mean, like any workplace, most workplaces have software that you have to deal with, and if you can learn software, different software easily, it's kind of, I mean, I'm still learning stuff on it. There's still stuff that I can learn on it as well. If you're not afraid of it, just go for it.
it just takes practice. And
the only thing that you do have to, and actually if you have a look underneath, I don't know if you'll be able to see, maybe if I bring this light with us. So if you want to look up underneath, you can't really see it, but you kind of see it from this side, here. So this is the pattern it's sewing out underneath. You do have to keep an eye on it to make sure that your tension is correct, so there's no eyelashes or snags or bird's nests under there. I mean, when I first started I would watch it like a hawk, but once you get your tension set, and I've got a pro tensioner on mine, you can kind of relax a little bit. I still do check it, but you do have to know how to fix it, so depending on what it's doing. Oh, there you go. With the tension, it's just like sewing tension. You have to know where to tighten it up and where to loosen it, and depending on the thread that you use, it will be different. So yeah, so you can, and then skip stitches can be a problem. I've got it so that it's all completely adjusted, so there's no problems, but when you first start out...
Christine asks, what size wadding are you using?
Like what, thickness or?
Size and thickness.
It is. Oh, it's the polyester wadding. This is so simple wadding, polyester wadding, that I sell on the website.
Marie asks, fascinating to watch. How many preset patterns does the machine come with?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head.
There's a lot though.
There was quite a lot, but I have to admit, There were only a handful that I really liked that came with the machine. Most of the ones that I've done, I've added over since I've had it. So you can buy patterns.
You could buy patterns.
Yeah. So this is one that I bought.
Can you make your own patterns?
Oh yeah. So it's really easy. If you don't want to do it guided, you just unhook the belts and you can just move it however you want. So you can do free motion completely. You don't have to have it one or the other. It does both when you've got those things.
Lori says, when I teach someone on the computer and they are scared of it, I just say, you're just going to learn how to play a game.
Yeah.
Like on Nintendo. You just need to read the instructions. What are those? And what buttons to push.
Yep, exactly. And there isn't a huge amount of information for this particular machine on YouTube. There's a little bit, but like I said, that lady Capri, she's my go-to. And she has a Facebook page that you have to have an over to join it. And
I do remember when you were building it, following the factory manual. Awful. And some of the steps, I think, were out of order.
Definitely. So it's a very heavy machine, and then one of the last things that you have to do is put the feet on after it's all built. So you have to lift the whole heavy machine up, and then So I wasn't very happy about that, but. I mean, yeah.
Jeanette asks, what thread do you use?
I tend to only use Orifil, mostly Orifil, 50 weight. It works like a dream. I never really have problems with it. The other one that I do use is, this is one that's nice, Superior. It's a rainbow thread. I used that on a quilt recently actually. It came out really nice.
Karen says, how big is the bobbin? How often do you need to change a bobbin?
Again, it depends on the thread. These are the bobbins. So not much bigger than a sewing machine bobbin, really. Sometimes you can hear when it's not happy. When it's happy. The thinner the thread, the less you have to replace it, basically. The less quickly it runs out. Some patterns, you'll go through a bobbin per pass, so you have to replenish a bobbin every time you move it, basically.
Lori says, have you tried the glide thread? I find it's good.
I don't think I have. I've tended to stay with what I know works. I have heard glide is a good one, and I'm trying to see my other one. Oh, they're here. These are also nice, but these are thicker, so you do see the quilting a little bit more because it's thicker, but it has some beautiful variegated. Jackie, I did one of Jackie's quilts with this colour actually, and this is a Superior thread, a King Tut.
Tut.
Yeah, but you do have to replace the bobbin more often with these because it's thicker. You don't get as much thread on a bobbin.
Karen says, wow, I thought the bobbin would have been bigger than that.
Yeah, no, you definitely have to keep an eye on the bobbin and replace it regularly. And every time that you replace it, at least on these machines, every time you change the bobbin, you have to put a bit of oil on it. So yeah, and you have to really keep it clean. So I did have Henry in here earlier, hoovering out, making sure the fluff is all cleaned out of it all the time.
Your Sarah says, love that purple color.
Oh yeah, I like that one. That's a good one. So yeah, so that is my room. Athena, my machine. Looks like that's what I'll be doing tomorrow, is finishing up this quilt, which is needed to be done anyway. Yeah, is it 9? I try not to go do quilting after 9 o'clock because I can never be quite sure how much the neighbours can hear, because you can definitely hear the machine downstairs when it's running.
You can hear it in the whole house
Yeah.
when she takes off.
Yeah. It makes the whole house vibrate, and I think that's just because it's upstairs. But
Kate says, thank you. Izzy was fascinated to see who and how her quilt was quilted.
oh,
And your Sarah says, can't wait till I can pop around and see 2025, just right around the corner. Carol said, love this insight into your sewing world. Thank you, Sarah. This is amazing. Thank you. And Penny says, really interesting. Thank you.
well, thank you, everybody, and I'll see you next week. We might be quilting a coat next week. We'll see. So, take care. Have a good weekend.
Good night, all.
Bye.